Castlevania Aria of Sorrow is one of the most beloved Metroidvanias of all time. It was able to fit a fully fledged Castlevania experience with many unique locations, enemies, and boss fights all into a tiny Game Boy Advance cartridge. This game boasts a pretty lengthy casual playtime considering the system it was designed for, but speedrunners will look at that playtime and just laugh. The most recent world record for this game's most popular speedrun category just recently fell under 11 minutes. That's right, just 11 minutes to conquer the whole game. But how exactly do speedrunners achieve such an unbelievable goal? What does the game normally expect from the player? And how is it that speedrunners beat the impossible odds to destroy Castlevania Aria of Sorrow in under 11 minutes?
Oh my god! Yes! Oh, I can't believe it! I did it!
To help answer those questions, I asked my good friend and one of the greatest Castlevania speedrunners of all time, Jupiter Claimh, to help me understand what exactly is going on in the speedrun for Castlevania Aria of Sorrow. But first, let's take a quick look at exactly what a normal playthrough of Aria of Sorrow is supposed to look like. Aria of Sorrow is very similar to most Metroidvanias. The goal of the game is to defeat bosses, collect new abilities that unlock new areas to explore, so you could repeat the process until you beat the game. However, Aria did introduce a brand new way to engage with combat and exploration in a Metroidvania-style game, the soul system. In this game, someone can absorb the souls of defeated enemies and bosses to gain new abilities. There are 4 types of souls that can be found throughout the game. Red souls, which allows someone to use unique attacks at the cost of mana. Blue souls, which allows someone to do many types of summons, attacks, and transformations. Yellow souls, which are passive abilities that usually give Soma some sort of stat boost. And lastly, gray souls, which are permanent upgrades to Soma's moveset and exploration abilities. In order to defeat the game, you are expected to beat 8 different bosses as you explore and unlock new abilities before fighting Graham, who is attempting to turn himself into the new Dracula. Except psych, killing Graham right away leads to the bad ending, and if you want the real ending, you have to kill a secret boss, find 3 books, absorb 3 of the Dracula souls, and use those souls to defeat Graham, and then turns out you were the real Dracula all along? And this just pisses off the Belmont of the group, Julius, so you have to fight him, learn that the real final boss is Chaos itself, so you enter the final area, fight the real final boss, and finally get the good ending. Also, it's really important to point out that, besides a few exceptions, every soul in this game is randomly dropped by enemies and bosses, and these drop rates are quite low, oftentimes even lower than 1%, and there's pretty much no way to increase those odds. And that's because in this game, the luck stat is completely broken. It doesn't increase drop rates or anything like that. They just forgot to code it properly, I guess? So getting some of the most powerful souls and items to drop is incredibly tedious, as you farm the same enemies over and over again for a less than 1% chance to get the drop that you want. However, the fact that this game expects you to grind for some important souls and items doesn't really matter for speedrunners, as they have developed strategies to completely ignore the random aspects of the game and turn what would normally be an RNG nightmare into a showcase of skill and execution. They do this by exploiting the random number generator inside the game's code. This is to produce the correct numbers in memory as to give the desired random drops that speedrunners need. And there's no better way to showcase this than to watch how speedrunners do a precise RNG manipulation to get the rare soul drop from the first boss of the game, Creaking Skull.
Alright, so Chewy's gonna pause here and suspend. We can pause here if you want. Anytime you suspend and load the game, it starts you at a set point in the random number table. So if you do the same actions every time you load from a suspend, you'll get the same result.
So resuming this is the RNG manip.
This is the RNG manip. So we got a couple of backdashes, some short hops. Oh, if you want to pause real quick, this is a very easy boss, but it's got one of the absolute best souls in the game. So getting it this early is super helpful for all combat throughout the remainder of the run. However, the drop rate is quite low, so you got to manipulate it. You can't just rely on good luck here.
All right, let's see it. Oh, that's interesting. We didn't even see the soul come out.
Yeah, this is some new school stuff. You'll notice that the screen kind of glitches up here. It's a soul collection and a level up on the same frame.
Oh, wow, look at that. Now with the Creaking Skull soul acquired, the next goal for the speedrun is to head up to the top of the castle corridor. But in the world record speedrun, Chewy for You was able to do this.
Now, okay, important moment here, very important. There's a big trick coming up. Normally, you're supposed to go down after Creaking Skull to pick up Flying Armor, which is a soul that lets you glide in the air a little bit. You don't, strictly speaking, need it. The downside is you have to rely on a sub-pixel perfect trick to get across a gap. Yeah, it's pixel perfect with a rounding potential. So it could round to the wrong pixel and totally throw off the trick. So here's the setup from Chewy here. You kind of pause, you take some damage. And that was it. That jump right there, I say let's watch that a second time. Yeah, you gotta delay, you gotta watch the axis momentum, and it's not even just a sub-pixel perfect. It's a sub-pixel perfect extended backdash jump.
So speedrunners do a super precise damage boost in order to skip grabbing the flying armor soul and save around 25 seconds. But why even come all this way just to get to a room that's a dead end? Well, this room may seem like a dead end at first, but actually this chonky boy right here can actually help runners zip out of bounds and warp them all the way to the chapel so they could fight the next boss of the run and of course do yet another RNG manipulation.
This is a manipulation that spans 2 rooms. You go down, and then this one is, again, a newer setup, but there are like 10 Manticore setups at this point, and they're all roughly equivalent. But let's watch that again. I can point out some things. So we're using Creaking Skull. We're going to be seeing this a lot in the future. The only thing to keep in mind with Manticore is that you have to time your hits correctly. You also have to make sure you're not too close or too far, because positioning can influence the attack you get, which will burn different random numbers. So Manticore...
Why is Manticore so important for the speedrun?
It's really interesting, because if you played this game casually, you know that from that chapel warp, you can just go to the left and not even fight Manticore. So we intentionally elect to fight an optional boss at this point because of how good this soul is. It saves an insane amount of time for movement, saves an insane amount of time for combat, one of the very best souls in the whole game.
After manipulating the Manticore soul to drop, the next goal of the run is to go down past the chapel into the study to fight the Great Armor boss, so they can put their newly acquired Manticore soul to the test, where they will be rewarded with the next ability soul for the run, the Malphus soul, which gives Soma the ability to double jump.
This is a great strat, check this out.
Oh wow, and just like that.
Can we watch that one more time?
Yeah, of course.
I just wanted to point out, at the start of the fight here, you'll see 2 attacks, and then it's a backdash canceled by Manticore. So you only get a small amount of that backdash distance. So you're in the perfect position to dodge the attack and get the triple hits on Manticore.
Yeah, and that ate up pretty much the entire MP bar, but I mean, your goal is to kill the boss as fast as possible, so you have like perfect MP management there. That's really, really cool.
You know what's interesting? The next potential major reroute for this category is skip all of study and don't get double jump. The only reason we came all the way down here for double jump is for a single room that we can't get up with single jump only.
Now with the double jump ability unlocked, speedrunners then go through the chapel to a specific room to set up yet another out-of-bounds zip.
So what we're going to be doing here is going to this big room, the Belfry room, and you can zip out of bounds here with Manticore. Normally you need bats for most zips, but this room is one of the rooms where Manticore can also work. Yeah, the Manticore transformation is just a little too big. The game gets confused, of course.
That makes a lot of sense seeing it in action. It's too big. There's a solid object above you. The game is trying to push you out of that solid object. The way it does that is just by pushing you out of bounds, unfortunately. And by going out of bounds, can we explain
You end up here.
why you end up here? Because I've played this game a few times, and I'm pretty sure the chapel is not connected to the reservoir.
You know, when it comes to out of bounds in this game, there's no real rhyme or reason to it. The castle is, of course, a creature of chaos, and when they're making this game, the out of bound connection points don't make any sense. Sometimes they'll take you to areas that are adjacent, ones that you would expect. Sometimes they'll take you to places that are just totally off the map. And sometimes you'll get soft locked because the game doesn't put you anywhere. Now this pudding room right here is the one reason we need Malphus. That tiny little platform is the one reason we have to go all the way down to study.
Because all these other jumps are possible to perform with just a single jump, it seems.
To my understanding, yeah. See,
okay.
if you were to zip up all the way on the left side, right underneath Soma, then you definitely would not need Malphus anymore.
The reason for zipping all this way is to get to the underground reservoir, which leads directly to the arena. There's lots of great items and souls that can be found here, but speedrunners have to be very careful maneuvering through this area at such a low level.
This is the arena. This is the toughest room in the game. This is the gargoyle room. Keep in mind, we're super underleveled right now. This is towards the end of the game. Now, this room has got many different setups to it, and different runners have different setups. It's mostly about preference, but that's a perfect gargoyle room.
Wow, I do want to watch that again, because all of this damage is like routed out to help you get through the room, I assume.
You'll notice that Chewie is intentionally getting his HP lower. Now, why is that? There is a soul in this game called the Lubricant Soul. This is the enemy whose soul we want to farm. It's a risk-reward soul where the lower your HP, the more your stats go up. Your strength, your int, even your defense, although we're in one-hit kill range here, so that part doesn't matter. But it's a big offensive boost. And it's a yellow soul, so you can equip Manticore plus Lubricant or Creaking Skull plus Lubricant at the same time. So for the sheer sake of saving a little bit of extra time, we're gonna be in one-hit kill territory for the remainder of the run. Isn't that nice? Now we're actually gonna see our first double manipulation in this room, because Lubricant not only drops its soul, it drops an excellent katana multi-hit weapon. Going for 2 manipulations is doable, but these are obviously much tougher than single manips. Pause buffer here. Get the timing perfect.
Wow. So both the soul and the weapon are dropped at the same time. With the newly acquired Lubricant Soul and Muramasa in the hands of speedrunners, they then use these powerful tools versus the next boss of the run, Balore.
But as you're gonna see, we've got, again, some small combat optimizations for this fight. Chewie's gonna get the best cycle possible. Here we go.
That is a lot of damage numbers.
You can get double and even triple hits, and Creaking Skull does a lot here. Yeah, so you'll notice, if you want to pause, Balore moved from phase 1 to phase 2. This is now the laser beam phase. So Creaking Skull is invaluable to make sure that phase 1, you can skip a full cycle.
Wow.
So this is a perfect fight. You can't save any more cycles, at least not with current strats over this fight. And phase 2's also got less defense, so yeah, it's over pretty quickly.
Wow. Yeah, immediately taking advantage of all the new weapons and souls and stuff to do crazy damage. And all of this is for, I don't know how to read Japanese, but I know that that's the Bat Soul.
The Break the Game Soul.
The Break the Game Soul indeed. The Bat Soul is normally used to transform Soma into a bat so he can fly around and reach new places. However, using a specific set of frame-perfect inputs, runners can actually slightly clip into walls, then use the bat to fully zip out of bounds pretty much anywhere they want. No need for cows to turn around or tight spaces to zip with the Manticore. And just like the previous zips, runners abuse the arbitrary out-of-bounds connection points to zip exactly where they need to go.
What you want to do to zip is, first of all, you want to get into the wall, which requires you backdash and turn into a bat and then crouch in a specific way, and the game kind of pushes you in 1 pixel. Doesn't sound like a lot, but 1 pixel is all we need here. So from here, what you want to do is press backdash, bats, and forward on the same frame. And you'll notice that Chewie is attacking here. This is the new tech I mentioned. If you attack, you don't have to buffer right. So instead of pressing 3 buttons on the same frame, it's only the 2 shoulder buttons, which, especially if you're playing on controller, like doubles the consistency of manips like this, or zips like this one. That's 1, we got a couple more to go. Yeah, so again, attack to buffer the right transform. And we suspend here for a specific reason. It's because we want to get pushed up just a little bit, and then we're going to do one of those crazy where am I going warps.
The zip is only possible because of the reloading from the suspend.
Well, about that.
Oh, just kidding.
Pause here. This is the one real room for improvement. And I mean, this category is impossible. You got to get the sub-pixel perfect, backdash boosted, flying armor skip. You got to get all the manips. You got to not get hit. You got to get the Balore perfect cycle. You got to have a good gargoyle room. Everything's got to go right. But there is one more trick that would save a good amount of time here. And that is, instead of suspending here and loading, what you can do is go into the wall and hit the lubricant here. You manipulate the lubricant so that right as you zip in, you get hit by the spear. That'll push you up slightly, and then you can just zip automatically into the claim room. That saves like 6 seconds, 7 seconds. Kind of depends on how quick you're going.
Wow. So this is what it looks like with the with that time save.
Isn't that just so dumb?
That is so cool. Wow.
Oh, by the way, the timing on this, it fluctuates. It's either 1 frame or a 2 frame.
Oh yeah, I bet. And then of course we end up here.
This is the Claimh Solais. I know that's not how it's pronounced, but it's how it's pronounced within the Castlevania community. It's the Claimh Solais. This is a holy sword. It's a super secret weapon. You're supposed to go behind the waterfall in vanilla with a rush soul to find this. And even it's a secret within a secret because it's like behind a hidden wall. So it's supposed to be overpowered. Even at a relatively low level, this is going to be more than enough to win with.
So after getting the strongest weapon in the game, runners continue zipping to enter the Chaos Realm, which is the final area of the game, skipping the need to fight Graham, collect the 3 books and Dracula souls, or fight Julius at all. And now runners can just zip straight to the end of the game and fight one of the hardest bosses in any Metroidvania I've ever played.
This is the chaotic realm, hence all of these sepia tones. This is the very end of the game. It's all black and white, but we're not going to be here for long. So, I mean, you can lose a run. Any one zip, if it goes badly, can kill the run. Because not only does it waste time, it wastes MP, which we're going to need here for the final fight. So these were perfect zips.
And oh yeah, that zip just lands you into the final fight. This is the final boss.
It could not be more convenient. So Chaos here has got 2 phases. Phase 1, you're going to see the Claimh in action. This is all about trying to get multi-hits. The Claimh can only hit once, but it has enough reach to strike 2 or even sometimes 3 statues with 1 swing. That's the goal. And Chewie is taking damage on purpose, both for the iframes, so you can deal a little bit more damage quickly, and also because we're trying to get that lubricant boost as high as possible.
These statues, they actually seal away your souls, right?
That's right, so you can't use Creaking Skull, and lubricant doesn't come into effect until the yellow statue is down.
That little target that's on the screen here, you don't want to get hit by that no matter what, right? Like that's.
So that'll drain your MP. Mm-hmm. We just talked about how important that was. That's why you want the zips to go well. If that hits you, PB is pretty much dead. This is the greatest boss in the history of action platformers. Despite the fact that we've played this game for like thousands and thousands of hours, fought this boss thousands of times, it never gets old. You need to be playing on point, you have to have great reactions, and you're hoping that Chaos cooperates. Because this bone dragon here does what it wants. It'll come up from the bottom and just hit you with like 5 frames to react. It's brutal. But the main gimmick here is you want to break the eyes. The real boss is the core, but if the eyes are defeated, that'll lower the defense of the core. So now Chewie takes 1 final hit, gets down to 12 HP, that's maximum lubricant boost. This is as high as it goes. Any hit kills. You gotta dodge the orbs, you gotta dodge the small orbs, you gotta dodge the thorns. And the core's got 3000 HP, so Claimh doing 48 plus 72 with Creaking Skull. But we only need to go for 3 eyes here rather than 4. That way we can get double hits on the core and the bottom right eye. It's one of the cool things about Chaos, like if you're playing the randomizer, depending on what your build is, sometimes it's optimal to kill 2 eyes, sometimes 3, sometimes 4. But yeah, for any percent, no 0 HP, 3 eyes is the best.
And just like that, we got Aria of Sorrow, no 0 HP, in under 11 minutes. It goes by so fast.
It's crazy. But yeah, this run by Chewie is super impressive. It's like close to perfect. It's really good.
I really want to put into perspective how unlikely a run like this really is. Putting aside all of the frame-perfect tricks performed in this run, without any RNG manipulation, the odds of a run like this ever happening are insanely low. The Creaking Skull Soul is a 2% chance to drop, the Manticore Soul 2.5%, the Lubricant Soul 1%, the Muramasa drop around a 0.25% chance. Altogether, that makes the odds of a run like this ever happening around a 0.000000125% chance, or around 1 in 100 million. Needless to say, without RNG manips, a run like this is not really possible. But that's the thing about speedrunners. They'll always find a way to beat the odds, and beat their favorite games in record time. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and like the video. And here's my favorite comment from the last video.
Set my alarm at 4 a.m. just to get to see this run live, and it was so worth it. So glad to see you on the SDGQ stage live. Amazing run and great commentary.
A huge shoutouts to Jupiter Claimh for helping explain the run, shoutouts to Chewie for You for achieving such a fantastic speedrun world record, and shoutouts to my Patreon supporters that make videos like this possible. If you want to help support future videos, then click on the link in the description and join up just like these fine folks like Crazy Four Blades, Aricado, Mr. Cigar, Lieutenant CYX, Clint, Soma Jean, TJ Foster, Atomic Dracula, Suchioto, Kenneth, Chaosvania, Joachim Palm, and WJB.